What is up, guys? So today we are going to talk about how the meta is holding you back. Strike here with Strike Gaming, and we're going to get right into it. So, the way that the meta is holding you back in the first place is something that you see frequently on YouTube and you see it everywhere and people talk about it all the time and you see it in pro play. There are champions that are really good in pro play that aren't good in solo queue. There are really good solo queue champions, but when you play them, you lose. It doesn't make any sense. This champion has a 55% win rate or a 60% win rate overall. I should be winning more games if I'm playing that champion. Well, there's two things going on here. Number one, that 55% win rate is over the course of hundreds of games, right? Or thousands of games on these analytical websites. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting some sort of extreme edge when you're playing that champion. Now, the other thing that you have to take into account is people who are upping that win rate on that champion are people with experience playing that champion. This is the biggest first problem with the meta that we are going to go into, and I like calling it the tier list trap. So, when we're talking about the tier list trap, here's a good example. So, specifically, let's say I'm a Gangplank one trick, which I used to play a lot of Gangplank and originally climbed to low diamond, high emerald on Gangplank only, almost with a 60% win rate. So, if I'm a Gangplank one trick, when Gangplank is at a D tier rating on the tier list, but I have a 58% win rate, that's pretty good. Now, let's say that a good counter pick to Gangplank is Set, and that Set is at a S tier rank. But when I play Set, I have a 49% win rate. Well, then obviously the tier list ranking for these champions is not nearly as important as my comfort level on the champion. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to prioritize the champion that you have a higher win rate with, that you have a higher mastery with, that you are better with. This is where the tier list trap really gets a lot of people because they focus on what's overpowered in the meta rather than playing something that fits their play style and learning the actual game. Because eventually, once you learn all of the ins and outs of the game, the tier list is just more information so you know what's inherently strong and weak. So if I asked you, hey, who do I play here to climb? It's pretty obvious. It's the 58% win rate Gangplank, right? So this is the kind of logic that you want to use going into your games. And if you're really focused on climbing, play what you are good at. Do not just blindly follow these tier lists. You there. It's you. You got some explaining to do to me. All right. What's up with this? What is this about? People are watching, but you're not subscribing. Subscribe. All right. Back to the video. I'm watching you. Watching you. Now, outside of the tier list trap, the other thing that we can talk about is something which is pretty prevalent in every single League of Legends game, which is roles. Quite often you'll see Discord posts or you'll see Reddit posts or you'll have conversations with your friend or you'll see streamers and it's like, oh, this AD carry player climbs super fast. AD carry must just be broken. It's a broken role. Jungle, hardest role in the game. Wouldn't touch it. Jungle, most impact in the game, early game. Easiest role to climb with. Top lane, easiest role. Mid lane, hardest role. Support, easiest role. Jungle, hardest role. It can go back and forth 50 different ways. But what is most important is your mastery within a role and your mastery on specific champions. Just like with the tier list problem, if you don't have a mastery of a champion, what's going to happen is your overall understanding of the League of Legends concept and fundamentals that will help you climb and that you need to learn, like last hitting, rotations, vision, resets, are going to suffer because you don't know that champion. In the same way, that's how the role issue works and what I think the meta creates, which is a role trap, the same way there's a tier list trap. The role trap is exactly what it sounds like, similar to the tier list trap, right? If you have a 58% win rate in jungle, right, and you are a jungle main, but jungle's not a very strong role right now, and there's a bunch of super OP things going on bot lane, with mage supports or poke supports or Pyke's just in an insane spot right now or whatever, right? You don't switch to support because your win rate is going to go down. And the reason your win rate is going to go down is because inherently, even if you understand a lot about the game and you have a lot of the fundamentals down, the majority of your practice and your champion knowledge and how you know to play the game is going to be focused around jungle. And jungle and support are two very different roles that function very, very differently. So it's not possible for you to just make the jump over right away and maintain rank. So if we're having a very candid conversation about what's going to be best for your climb, it's going to be to stay with the role you know. A lot of times you'll see pro play and you'll hear these things about how OP things are. Stay with what's working. Focus on learning and then continue from there. Now that we've covered kind of the role trap and the tier list trap, and we understand that obviously consistency within a role and consistency within champions is what's going to make you better at the game and what's actually going to help you climb, I think it's worth mentioning that when we look at these things, there are also people who are back-to-back challengers playing even off-meta picks because of the fact that they are consistent on their one tricks, okay? And I think that's one of the most important things that we can take away out of this when we're looking at meta and things being strong or things being weak is at the end of the day, League of Legends as a game is meant for you to one trick. Okay? I'm going to be completely honest with you guys here. You know, when we look at this game, we're talking about 168 characters. Okay? The expectation of the developers is not that any one person can play 168 characters to an extremely high level unless you're a pro player, this is your professional job. The expectation of the developers within League of Legends is that there are a select few champions that you hold near and dear in a role that you enjoy that express your skill, and that's what you're going to hone in on, and that's what the game rewards. If you don't do this, your ability to know when you can fight, when you can run, when you can ward, if you need to be scared of fog, if you should be resetting, what your power spikes are, what your item spikes are, who can you fight in the 1v1 matchup in lane, out of lane, what junglers do you synergize well with, what supports do you synergize with, all of these questions in League of Legends, and League is already a highly complex game. None of them are going to be answered if you chase the meta and you constantly are switching champion and switching role. Now, if that's not enough to convince you, here's the only other thing I can say about how the meta will make you lose if you keep chasing it. At the end of the day, no matter how broken something is, no matter how good a champion is, it is going to get nerfed. It is going to get changed. So if you put all of your eggs in this basket of just, I'm going to learn how to abuse this one super good thing in the meta, what's going to happen eventually is you're going to get to a point and it's not going to be there anymore. And then when your rank deflates, you're going to deflate and you're going to get really upset with yourself because you've attached your identity to the fact that you're this rank and you've been this rank. But the fact of the matter is you were that rank by abusing something that got fixed. I've seen it happen with individuals where something might be OP and it might help you climb for a period of time, but then what's going to happen is when it gets nerfed, you will get nerfed. So avoid that. Stick to a couple champions, stick to one role, maybe one off role, and dedicate yourself to learning the fundamentals of the game. It makes a huge difference. Okay, so that's a bit of a rant from me. This is Strike Gaming. Hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to put a like, comment, subscribe, tell me if you agree, disagree, and I will see you guys in the next one.